Hello, friends. My name is David Trotter. I'm the founder and publisher of Awaken Magazine. And this is a big day for us here in our community. We are launching volume 2 of Awakened Hearts, which just probably looks backward in your screen. I got to figure that out. But you can look at the forward version there. So we are so excited about this book because it is sharing the stories of 25 incredible conscious leaders, healers, coaches, everyday seekers. And our vision is to share these stories of awakening to consciousness, mindfulness, spirituality as a resource, as a tool for people in our world who are asking the question, is this all there is? Is there more to life? Or, hey, I'm having these weird experiences, these intuitive encounters. What do I do with this? And these individuals who we are sharing their stories in the book just become an incredible resource to go, oh, okay, I'm not alone. There are other people who have gone through this. Oh, they've walked through darkness too. I can find a way to get from darkness and feel that light in my life again. So anyway, what we're doing each day this week, which, and by the way, I guess I should put this up on the screen. It would be helpful. The book is now available on Amazon. You can just use the URL awakenedheartsbook.com. It goes right to the Kindle and paperback version. The hardback should be linked later today, I hope. So you can get that copy there. Kindle's $1.99. We encourage you to leave a review. I think there's 4 or 5-star reviews on there already, which is exciting. There's good things that are happening. So today what we are doing is having the opportunity to speak to 4 of our contributing authors. And so I would love for you to welcome them. Round of applause, please, for each other. Yes. It is so great to have you. We've got Martin and Molly and Kristen and Amanda joining us from all parts of the I think US today. No global authors with us. So we want to get started by hearing a little bit more about them, and then we will talk through some of the concepts of the book and hear about their writing process. And I know it's going to be great for you to get to know them. So let's start with Martin. Martin, would you mind just briefly introducing who you are and how you serve the world currently?
All right. Thanks, David. It's just great to be here, and I love to share the story with people. I had my spiritual awakening a little over a year ago, and for me, it was something where Archangel Metatron and the goddess Kuan Yin reached out to me and let me know that I had things to do in the world. And my thing to do is to share light and love, and specifically to help people to bring that out of themselves, to see what they can do, to see how they can feel great about themselves and what they're doing, and what this big transition is. What does it mean over the next 5 or 10 years?
Thank you, Martin. Maybe Martin, tell us where you live and how you, I know you're doing this through your writing. Are there other ways that you are helping individuals in this mission? You're muted. Yeah, go.
Yeah, David, at this time, I'm primarily writing. At some point in the future, I'll probably start working with people one-on-one, but that's something I'm just not quite ready to do yet. I've got a lot of writing and a lot of just getting out in public and meeting with people. That is the next big phase for me. Right now, I live in the Kansas City area. I'm retired military, and so this is a new chance for me to get out and serve the public in a different way.
Yeah. And I would encourage you guys, if you don't know, we also have first volume of Awakened Hearts volume 2, volume 1, and Martin's story is in this book as well. And so really, I would say your initial awakening story is in this book, where you really kind of provided us with just downloads that were just crazy powerful in this chapter. So would
Right.
you agree?
That's correct, David. My original awakening story is in the first book. In this book, I'm really sharing with people. It's like a miniature mystery school course that they can take, read through 7, 8 pages, and see a way to live in joy, to live in a state of bliss at all times. That's what I'm going for here.
I love it. Thank you, Martin. Molly, tell us where you
Yes.
are in the world. Who are you? How do you serve people?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So glad to be here. Yeah, my name is Molly Burkett, and I serve as a somatic coach. I work with clients one on one and really work deeply with them around um, patterns from cultural and family conditioning. So, weaving through those layers and getting down to or I should say, getting back to who we really are. And I do that through somatic work, which I discovered myself in a long process of healing. And really, somatic work is about reintegrating with our bodies, and that's the work that I do. And that's what has brought me to where I am today. It changed everything for me. And I'm one of those people that lived from the neck up for most of her life, and now enjoying the embodied self and the spaciousness of living from that embodied self.
And you will absolutely love Molly's chapter. You'll love everyone's chapter. But I mean, every time somebody talks, I'm just like, oh no, your chapter is amazing, And there's so much connection and empathy that comes out of me as I read each chapter. So thank you for sharing your heartfelt, vulnerable story in this chapter. Molly's also a presenting sponsor for our Awaken Lifestyle Expo coming up on December 7th. And so she's playing a big role in helping us make that happen. She'll have a vendor booth there. She's doing a workshop on somatic reparenting, actually not just talking about it, but having you experience it, right? Little taste of it during that workshop, right?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And love to have everybody join me there.
Yeah. Kristen, Leigh, where are you coming from? And what is life all about for you?
Yes. So, hi, I'm Kristen Leigh, and I'm from Panama City Beach, Florida. And I help people unlock their highest potential by recalibrating their nervous system, biofield, and renewing their mind. So that way they can shift from that chaotic, stressful life and live in more purpose, more flow, and more peace. And I do that by combining science and spirituality, using tools like neuroplasticity, breathwork, and my vibe shift method to help people clear that old, stuck pattern in their nervous system and align energetically with the life that they're meant to live.
And Kristen, she wrote an incredible chapter talking about her awakening that kind of began in Jamaica. And I
Yes,
happened to
you were
be
there.
on that trip. I was waiting for my name to pop up in the chapter. I'm like, is my name going to appear? I don't know. I hope it's good if it does. But I did not make an appearance. So, oh well. But it was an amazing, wonderful, wonderful story. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes, thank you.
Amanda, Romania. It is good to see you. Tell us about
Thank
how you're
you.
serving the world.
Thank you. So wonderful to be here and meet everyone. My name's Amanda Romania. I'm here in Sedona, Arizona, and I'm a public speaker, spiritual mentor, and I specialize in metaphysics. And I created a program that's known as Akashic Therapy, which is taking the Akashic field, the Akashic database records, and actually helping people move through their records, a little bit like clearing your spiritual databases so that you're not running on those spiritual cycles, karmic imbalances. So that's how I help. And I do that one-to-one. I do that with groups. I do big speaking events here in Sedona or LA, and I take people to sacred sites so they can experience it on site.
Yes, and Amanda's chapter is amazing. I also interviewed her for Awaken Magazine. If you have not watched that interview, I'd strongly encourage you to watch that. Actually, this is a crazy little known fact, not to make it about me, but I'm making it about Amanda. I have interviewed tons of people. I think so far with Awaken Magazine, probably 100 and maybe 50 or so. I've never asked a interviewee to do a session with them. I just, I mean, there's always great people, but there was something with Amanda that I was like, I've got to do a session with this woman. I have to somehow take on her wisdom. And it was a wonderful session that really helped me and Amanda. I mean, not Mandy, my partner Mandy, get some direction on some things in our life and work. So, Amanda, it's great to have you. Great to have you with us.
My honor, my pleasure.
Yeah. So I want to talk about this term awakened. Obviously, the theme that we have for the book is called Awakened Hearts. The subtitle for this book is Sacred Stories of Breaking Free and Rising Higher. Of course, the name of our magazine and community is Awakened Magazine. So I'm curious about your thoughts on what does this term awakened or awakening mean to you? And so, Amanda, would you mind going first and just sharing a little bit about your perspective on this?
Actually, that's my word. We're in the brain today. I would going to say this for me, awakened is a perspective of life and how we carry through our lives, both in our interactions with others, our communities, and even on the global level. And I have a lot of people say to me, is this a walk-in that I'm experiencing when you have a change of soul and someone completely changes their life, their name, everything? But what I find is mostly it's people having a wake up. We used to mainly have wake ups when people had near death experiences, but I think books like this and meeting authors and therapists and teachers like we are in a room, it's sparking some interest where people feel safe, where their neuroprogramming kind of switches on and they go, why are these people living like this? I want to be over in that group. And so it's like, come on, wake up, let's go over there together. That's how I see it. It's a perspective.
Yeah, yeah. How about you, Molly? What is your take on this word awaken?
I think that for me, awakening is really coming back to the way that we came into this world. So, um, infants don't come in talking and thinking and managing, right? Infants come in with a self, like a felt living consciousness. And that's what they're doing. And so coming back to that after years and years of thinking and picking up on expectations, conditioning, roles, survival patterns, um, all of those things, we can come back to that felt living consciousness and and fully express ourselves through that embodied self. And so awakening to that is what's really changed my life and so many of the people that I've had the pleasure to help reconnect with their body.
Yeah, oftentimes it does feel like when we're talking about awakening, that it's more focused on the spiritual component to it. And what I love that you're doing and interweaving is like this physicality to it. How do I use my body to awaken? How is my body like changing as I awaken? Yeah, it's really, really powerful. Thank you so much. Martin, tell me from your perspective, what does it mean to awaken? What does this process look like for you?
Okay, David, what I see is two parts to it. One is just the day-to-day way you interact with the world, seeing things more clearly, understanding that there's more going on in the world and it's not the material world that matters. There's so much more going on. And then the second part, the deepest part of the awakening, is when you reach the understanding that all is source. Source is the all that is, so that we get to the point where all the people you interact with, you understand they are also manifestations, individual pieces of source having an individual experience. And you learn to treat people and animals and the environment. You just learn to interact with the world so much differently.
How does that change the way that you interact with people when you, as you said, recognize that we're all part of source?
Yeah, David, what that means very directly for me is that I have peace, I have understanding, I feel no pressure to try to manipulate a situation. I only want to exist in it and have the highest outcome that's possible. And one of the things I came up with long ago is every person I meet, I think of them. Kuan Yin is my close guide, and so I take the approach. I will treat everyone I meet the same as if they were Kuan Yin and how I would interact with her.
Thank you, Martin. How about you, Kristen? What does this term awakened or awakening mean to you?
Yes, so it kind of goes off of everybody in the same way of remembering who we are. We are connected. We're not separate from the divine. We are all fragments and we all have a purpose here. And it all starts from the heart, loving each other and really truly connecting with that heart energy and expanding that electromagnetic field and really feeling into those emotions, not disposing them and putting them away, but alchemizing them and using them for the greater good of all. And I think when we awaken, we walk with an intention of really being present in the moment with those we're with and giving ourselves that love back that we're giving to others. And when we all do that and we live from the heart and we pay attention to that present moment with each other, we become the change that we seek in this world. And I truly believe if we all come together and awaken as one, that's when we're going to shift out of that fear vibration and back into that love and light that we truly are.
Thank you, Kristen. So this is Kristen's chapter. I don't know if you could see it. Chapter 6, From Cliff to Coherence. I know the words are backwards. I got to figure that out. The words are not backwards in the book, just to put everybody at ease. So a powerful chapter, as I mentioned. But one of the things, if someone hasn't met you before or followed you online, I mean, one of the natural questions would be why is she wearing, is that her real hair? What is going on here? And I can't remember if you touched base on that in your chapter or not. But I would love, if you don't mind, sharing about this presentation that you bring to our world.
Yes. So I'm also known Kristen Leigh, aka Super K. Super K is like my alter ego of my highest self. And she came about naturally when I was in my marketing days, where people go, "How do you help us? You've got 2 young kids, a husband, a family to run. How do you're like Superwoman?" And someone said, "No, she's Super K." And when I had my awakening, I realized that part of me being in this, you've been with Super K and Kristen Leigh, being out in public with both versions of me.
I've been with
And
both versions of you. Yes.
both versions of me, you've been able to be out in public. And it is different where when I am as Super K, it's funny. It's like when we were told, the Bible says, have that childlike wonder. When I was a child and able to dress up, I was able to pull in the essence of who I truly was, not all the masks people put on me. I have to be this, the perfect daughter. I have to, be the smart one and do this, where people put masks on the Kristen Leigh when I looked in the mirror. But when I was able to live as my most excited self, I was able to be the true authentic me from inside. And so when I am as, Super K, I truly feel like I can be me because it's who I am inside and who I see. And the colors are just of the energy field that I see when I close my eyes, when I'm meditating. Maybe it's the chakras, the throat, the crown, and the higher energy fields. But I see these colors in my mind's eye, and it was just naturally born. And I just feel connected where I can truly be authentically me, even though it's kind of like a costume. That's when we feel like we can play and have fun. And that's when I'm in my most childlike self. So that's how Super K came along. And it's just fun.
It's great. It's good to be with you today. Okay, so I am curious about your life now, because you talked about this concept of awakening, and some of you have talked about your own life, but I want to hear a little bit of like a before and after. And I recognize that going through an awakening, being awakened, I doubt many of us walk around going, I am awakened, like probably not. It sounds a little bit weird, but recognizing there is a before and there is an after, and there might have been multiple shifts, awakenings, ego deaths, transitions along the way. But I want to hear about that difference between life before and after. And you started referring to it a little bit, Martin, in talking about how you treat others. And I know that was in your first chapter in Awakened Hearts. Would you mind just sharing with us, how is your life different now than it was a couple years ago?
Yeah, I'd be glad to, David. The big thing for me now is every day I feel the approach of unconditional love for everyone I interact with, unconditional love for myself. This was the one that took the longest and the more awakening of the process, to really learn to forgive myself, love myself, and not feel bad about it. And then that increases my ability to spread love and to have positive interactions with other people. There were some times before my awakening when I had some post-traumatic stress and some other post-military issues that were really getting the better of me. And I was just an angry, and I don't want to say scared, but I was a protective person. I felt like I had to protect myself from the world. And now that I've awakened, I don't feel that need to be so protective anymore.
I love that. I felt like I needed to protect myself. I was reflecting with my mom the other day, Martin, about my own growing up years. And I grew up with an assumption, and I didn't even realize it was an assumption until many years ago. I think that's called programming, where I thought everybody out there was out to get me. Like somehow they were like I couldn't trust people. They were scary, right? Even as an adult. And so the way I picked up on that was that my dad didn't talk to people out in public. He avoided talking to people. And so my interpretation as a little kid was those people must be dangerous. Like they must be dangerous somehow. And I didn't think they were going to physically attack me, but it wasn't until I burned out as a pastor and hit bottom in 2008 that I recognized, oh, I think people are scary for some reason. And what if I just started talking to people like out in public? What if I started talking to them and I quickly changed the assumption that people were not scary, that, like there's obviously all types of different people, but um, we're all like one, right? We're all connected to source, as you've said. And if I change my perspective that people are not scary, I actually got the result that I was, and like, if you think people are scary, they will be scary or dangerous. But if I think people are open to me, then they're open to me. That was when I was like 38. I learned this lesson, Martin. What the heck?
Well, you got a good jump on me. I waited another decade or two to get there. But really, what it came down to is I had a hidden judgment. I had, as part of my religious upbringing, at some point I started sliding into judgment, even unconsciously. And so I would be a little bit afraid that other people would judge me because I didn't love myself and forgive myself enough, that they would see all the weaknesses, all the flaws in me, and that they wouldn't like me or they would think less of me. And it was just a matter of letting go of all of that self-judgment, not positive feelings. And
Yeah.
then that's what really helped me.
Yeah. The result, I don't want to put this on you, but for me, the result was freedom. It was like, oh, I could like let down those walls about like, oh, I feel so much better, you know? And, but I would also say that it's still a process. Like from even like 4 years ago, I went through another massive uh, letting down of the walls. So anyway, thank you for sharing that, Martin. Very powerful. How about for you, Molly? How is life different for you? And your chapter was very explicit about how life is different for you. It's just so powerful, your story, but maybe just give us a glimpse. Yeah.
Yeah. So freedom from the last speaker speaks out to me. I will say that I was in bondage for sure. I was very much in my head, um, no connection to my true authentic me, which is a wholly integrated self, including um, my spirit, right? So for me, I was completely cut off here. I couldn't trust any kind of power higher than myself. I couldn't trust myself. And so I spent my life managing and controlling and trying to get outcomes that I had decided that I needed. Right. So my whole life was around that, and it didn't work well for me. I was completely out of touch with my feelings. I was very much afraid of my feelings. And so I would do anything to push them away. So I had issues with addiction. I had years and years of issues with depression, suicidal ideation, and again, just it came in layers. For me, it came in layers and it took a while, right? So there were layers along the way. But today, I am fully integrated in my embodied being. And living from that space, I can hold space and compassion for not only myself, but for the people in my life. So instead of trying to fix them, change them, um, advise them when they aren't asking for it most of the time, instead of living from that space, I can just be in the space with them and hold that space. And that to me is complete freedom because I can really hear them, be with them, and love them and allow myself to receive that kind of love and compassion, which I could never do before.
Hmm. Just really encourage people to obviously purchase the book, Awakened Hearts, and then read Molly's chapter. It's called The Collapse That Led Me Home. And I'll read the last few sentences here. They're so powerful. You said, when I finally let myself experience my emotions, my life began to open up. All the energy I'd spent resisting my feelings had only blurred my true self. If this resonates with you, I invite you to gently challenge the old habits of avoiding your feelings. The next time you feel sadness or discomfort, try meeting that feeling with curiosity and compassion, as you would a small child longing to be seen, heard, and loved. The simple act of acceptance might just be the doorway, the moment you begin coming home to yourself. Yeah, so
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kristen, talk to us about your before and after. I know we're all still in process and growing and learning, but how's life different for you having gone through an awakening?
Yeah. So before, on the outside, I was very successful. It looked like I had everything all together, the family happy, healthy, the business thriving. But inside, I constantly had this anxious and unfulfilled feeling. And when I went through that awakening, it was like just a crumbling of everything. I was a workaholic before, just focusing on helping others where I forgot to help myself and my family, where I was trying to reach out and help everyone out outside of myself and thinking everything was okay inside. And so when I finally cracked open, I just sat quiet and I heard, get to know thyself. And I dug deep in to studying epigenetics, quantum physics, metaphysics, neuropsychology, neurobiology, everything I could get my hands on to understand what was going on. Because why was I so low when everything on the outside looked so bright? And by doing that, I came to truly understand how to connect to my higher self in a way that I learned to love myself again and heal that inner child that was just screaming for attention. And I thought and was taught attention is building something big, making something, being successful, when I was actually not successful because I was lost and I was a sad child inside. And so by going through this process and doing I tried so many modalities and finally honing in and realizing that the truth was within me. And when I connected within myself and connected and started listening to that higher self that had always been there, but I had quieted out for so long that now I don't feel alone. I am guided, divinely guided, and I notice synchronicities and divine timing and flow instead of using the force I used to. So now I've learned how to access my power through clearing and healing the biofield and rebalancing, which is our life force energy. It's what gets stolen from us when we feel less than or being told that we're not good enough, and learning how to extend it to a point where I'm constantly picking up information of love and light and being able to truly embody it again rather than feeling separate from it. So finding those moments to really connect back has been my saving grace. And I just feel like my husband, my kids, they go, Mom, my husband goes, Kristen, you are the most beautiful version of yourself. I am so glad. At first, he was scared of my awakening. Like, what is going on? You're hearing voices. Do we have to put you in a mental home? And I was like, I don't know what's going on. And when I understood the science of energy and vibration and frequency and got to know myself, he now goes, Kristen, you're the most beautiful version of yourself. You're so present with us. My kids can feel the love rather than me just saying, I love you. They can feel the essence of my being radiating to them. And it's funny, they ask for hugs all day long. My husband too, like, can I have a hug? Can I have a hug? Because they can feel it coming out of me. And it's like we charge each other up, which is just so beautiful. So yeah, life before and after, it's like day and night. And I just can't wait to keep growing and expanding because it's just a forever life journey.
Really encourage people to dive into Kristen's chapter because she talks about how she manifested a piece of land for a retreat center that is going to be unfolding and emerging over the months and years to come there in Florida. But the story of how you manifested that land is really, really powerful. So fun. Amanda, how about you? How is life different for you having gone through this awakening? And I say this about everybody's chapter, but you got to read Amanda's chapter. I mean, you've got Egypt, you've got Glastonbury, you've got this retreat that she's going on, you've got her channeling in Egypt. It's very powerful.
Thank you. Well, I moved halfway across the world. 20 years ago, I had a really successful franchise business, single mom, doing my doctorate in business at Durham University. You can't get much more in the 3D world. And I just kept saying, I'm really curious. And what if I let my imagination look at these opportunities? And suddenly people started sending invitations and doors began to open. And I just kept saying yes. So one day I'm in rainforests of Central America. I'm hiking up trails, going into Mayan temples. A month later, I'm in Egypt. I'm down below in the pyramids. I'm meeting all these different spiritual mentors and leaders and indigenous elders. And I was really blessed. Maybe it's the English accent and the tiny little self that I am. People felt comfortable. And so they started opening their hearts and opening their stories to me. And it just kind of developed in relationships from there. So that kind of took me on this journey to go to Bali. From Bali, I went back into Washington, D.C. with African elders. And then I'm in Big Bear Mountain with all different tribes from around the world. And I'm sat there in just normal, regular clothes. And the grandmas really resonated with me. And so I just kept saying yes and opening these doors. And in awakening, it reached a point where I knew I couldn't go back to that old world. And so I married an American. We settled here in Sedona. That was 13 years ago. And so a lot of the retreat groups and leaders and teachers that come in are my clients. Many of them are my students. And I just continue to work from Sedona, traveling and exploring with my documentary work and teaching now in Asia. So going from a small English town with a Harry Potter type of life, and now my work is international, is a total different change. But I love it. Every year, it's just what's happening next.
What is what is happening with you and Asia? I mean, so fascinated by this. How did this come about? Why do you think people resonate with you? Are you teaching in English? Are they listening in? Like, I'm just curious. Every time I see you post about it, I'm like, what? This is crazy.
Yeah, everybody's very curious about it. And it came about by chance. I was featured in, I've been writing for Sedona Emergence magazine for over 10 years. And one of the other authors and teachers, a gentleman called Ray Chandran, he is from India, lives in Japan. He reached out and again, he wanted to do private work with me. He talks about it, he makes no secret of it. And so you develop a relationship of trust. And so working in Asia is not like when I work in Europe or I'm working in the US. It's very, very different, it's very subtle, very kind, in the way that you negotiate and work with them. And I love the point that you mentioned, Martin, about Kuan Yin, because my Venus line goes right through Beijing, Singapore, and Kuan Yin, she called me there on a spiritual level. But I went through and I started working with agencies in Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and now I work out of Taiwan. And so I'm kind of in that whole base of Asia, and I teach on everything. I teach on all of the metaphysics. I teach my mystery schools from Atlantis. We go through Lumeria, ley lines, dragons, crystal skulls. And I have a translator. I can only say San Ran E, which is 1, 2, 3 in Chinese. But it's so lovely working with them because it's all heart emojis and it's all the challenges that they've gone through as a cultural level. Much of my work is dealing with nations and their karma. That's how I ended up in Germany published. That's how I ended up in Russia published. And now working with the Asian communities, healing through those cultural revolutions, the ancestors awakening, and just holding their hands and their hearts. It's an honor and a privilege.
So beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Amazing. Amazing. I want to pivot for just a moment to talk about your writing process. Some of you are experienced writers. Some of you, this was more of a newer experience. But what was the writing process like for you? How did you write your chapter? Did you have a specific place that felt like it resonated with you to write it, or a specific time? Or Molly, do you mind sharing how it was, what it was like for you?
Sure. Um, I've done a lot of writing in the past, but I really have just picked it up again in the last few years. So, doing a personal story like this, I haven't done for a long time. Um, so it was very it was a wonderful feeling to just kind of walk with myself through the history of my journey. And it's that same thing I've been talking about. When I would find myself in my head about it, I would step away, and make sure that I was fully aligned and with all parts of me, so that I could just really let my truth flow out of me. So it was a beautiful experience. Uh, you know, the our bodies carry the unconscious. So, when we are just, talking about things is not enough. Our stories, patterns, and emotions live in the tissues and muscles and fascia of the body. So, being able to write about it from an embodied place was really easy. It's a freedom, and I felt the freedom to really express my truth in the written word. And with the intelligence of my whole body, um the divine, my spirit. And it was actually a spiritual experience for me. It was really lovely.
I love that. Uh, because I haven't mentioned it in a few minutes, I do want to encourage you, if you're watching, to pick up the book today. It's awakenedheartsbook.com. That URL will lead you directly to Amazon, where you can purchase the book on Kindle for $1.99, or paperback. I think it's $15.99. You'll have it in 2 days on Amazon Prime. The hardback should be linked in the next day or so as well. And so check it out at awakenedheartsbook.com. I think even just this morning, we've got 4 or 5-star reviews already. So if you want to leave a review, we'd encourage you to do that as well. Um, let's see here. Talk to me, Martin, about your writing experience. How was that for you? What was the experience like? How was it different than even your first chapter that you wrote for the First Awakened Hearts?
Yeah, David, there was two parts to it. For the first book, the Awakened Hearts one, it was an opening up, a really standing out in public and saying, hey, here I am, this is me, and feeling comfortable with that. Now, as part of that, I gleaned some insights into my experiences. And I really focused on the fact that you have to stop judging your experiences. And that came out as part of the writing process. So instead of saying, well, boy, that was bad, I didn't like that traffic today, now I see it as it was simply an experience. And it was something that I can learn from, and I don't have to take any negative energy from it. Now, for this one, I was really kind of all over the place in terms of it's a year later, and now I've learned all this stuff and I've got all this insights. I was like, oh, how do I share more? And then it became clear to me that the purpose of the second book for me was to consolidate my learnings, take all the things that I've gleaned from Metatron and from Kuan, as well as some things that the goddess Isis, Father Babaji, and the Divine Master Sai Baba had shared with me, and kind of put it into a cohesive package so that not just for other people and sharing that with everyone that reads the book, but helping me to really realize where I am at and what I need to be focused on moving forward.
Mhm. Thank you, Martin. One of the things that is apparent in our conversation today, and will be as you read the book, is that there are a wide variety of individuals who are contributing their stories And I love that today we've got Martin, who has an awakening experience a year ago, and he is passionately diving into these things and then openly sharing and documenting what he's learning. And then, you've got Amanda, on the other hand, who's traveling the globe, sharing her wisdom with individuals. And she's sharing her story of awakening as well, right? So you've got this whole spectrum of different levels of experience, different timelines of like, oh, my primary awakening story happened in this period, right? I love that because as you read the book, different stories will resonate with you in different ways, and you will take different things from different people. And this is drawing upon my experience having been a pastor for over a decade, is that I would encounter people who were early in their faith experience, and there is a degree of invigoration and commitment and passion that is so contagious. And so when I hear Martin talk, I feel that invigoration, right? That passion, because he's kind of earlier on in his journey. And then when I sit with someone like Amanda, I feel this groundedness and this rootedness and this wisdom that, like, I go, ooh, right? And I can feel that, right? And so when you read each one of these chapters, you can feel the different place that someone is in their journey. And so I encourage readers to go, hey, it's not about comparing about where someone is or what someone does. It's just about embracing where they are and going, what can I learn? What can I embrace? What can I take from that person's story? And there are parts that obviously don't resonate with me because it's not my story, but I'm going to go, oh, I can take that passion. How can I embrace more passion in my life? Or, oh, how can I embrace that? Like, geez, I never thought about making an impact in Asia. Oh, I got to think about that. That inspires me. Or how can I be more playful, right? I'm probably not going to put on a wig. Although I have for different experiences, but that's probably not going to be my daily. I'm not going to be right. But oh, how can I integrate more playfulness in my life? So anyway, my point is there's something that each one of these chapters can benefit you as a reader. So writing process for you, Kristen, what was that like for you?
Yeah, so for me, honestly, the writing process was more of a healing journey, going back into the story of how it started. Because, we go through our awakening and, we may tell some people in the beginning, and then it just becomes like you feel like everybody in your circle knows. And I felt like I slowly, not that I lost touch with it, but I forgot how deep and profound every little moment of every little piece was in my life to the next step of my life or the next point. And to go back and sit with it and go, okay, where did it start? Okay, I remember the day and what was the moment? And connecting back, when I started connecting back to remembering that point when I was in Mission St. Louis and with sitting there and feeling the Indian tribe connected with me, I was like, oh my, I felt it again. And it had been so long since I felt that energy run through me of the indigenous tribe. And then I started channeling that energy into my writing. So it wasn't just my words, but it was the energy where I kept hearing it's the energy of the words that you put that are going to be the most impactful, because words can just be written on a paper, but it's the energy behind them that are going to touch the energy of people's hearts. So I truly felt it was so powerful going through, and I'm actually getting goosebumps talking about going back into that story, because every part that I wrote about, it brought me back into that essence of the moment. And it was very healing. However, many emotions came back up and many memories. And that was like ripping layer by layer again, but it helped me integrate more truth and more love into my story.
Hmm. And how about you, Amanda? What was the writing process like for you?
So if you remember, David, I think I came to the project as one of the last people to come in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I thought, how am I going to pull something together? So the first thing I did was I ordered book one. I combed through all of those amazing stories and got in touch with the feel and the vibe. And then I used my skill set. I set myself up with a regression. I remote viewed back into that timeline because it was 20
Ah.
years ago. And I audio taped the story, the memory, the feelings, the magical aspect of it. And then I took from that and then began to craft a written piece from that to tell a story. And so I can't say that I had the dark night of the soul. I can't say that I had a difficult childhood. Um, my life to now, I've been very well protected and it's been a beautiful journey. And I wanted to express that yes, when you're in Egypt and you're stood in Philae Temple and you're seeing things from spirit and you're receiving those channels and you're changing, it's real. It does happen to people out there. And I know that in when I was working with you, David, I had like 30 people that were all going to Egypt at the same time as you on different groups with different people and different teachers. And so they're all coming through and they're giving me their sections of the records with them. So I knew that it
Mhm.
was time when I did the chapter that it had opened something for me that I know is opening something for others. And it doesn't have to
Mhm.
be Egypt. You can read a book or tap into something. Sometimes you have these spontaneous thoughts in the shower or when you're out in nature. It doesn't matter. But when your story's coming back, it's an important one to develop with.
Mhm. Amanda, what is your hope for your chapter, for the book, as it gets out into the world? What's your hope for it?
So, like everything else, I meet people from, I just woke up to teachers that are like luminaries, and they all have the same things that go on, same family things, same physical things. And the main thing for me is you're not alone, you're not crazy, you're not lost. There's a whole host of community and people that we're all going through and developing at the same time. So come on in, there's a community that wants to spread the love, and you're part of that just by even reading and engaging with the book. That's my hope.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're interested in learning more about Amanda Romania, you can, as you can see on the screen, go to amandaromania.com and, of course, pick up the book to read more about her story. And with all of our authors, their bios, their website, their social media is right there in the book with a QR code. So it makes it easy for you to get their information. And their smiling faces are on the back cover, too, which is awesome. Martin, how about you, my friend? What is your hope for your chapter in the book as it gets out into the world?
What I'm looking for is to share the thing that I've come up with where on a day-to-day basis, I just feel joy and love. And it's much like Kristen was saying, just that warmth that comes out of your heart. That's how I feel when I'm interacting with my family and friends. And I want to give everyone who reads the book or even just sees this stream the opportunity to know that you can do it, that you can live in bliss, that you can put yourself at a higher place.
And you can connect with Martin and his writings at larimardragon.com, as you see on the screen. Of course, although his chapter in volume 2 is incredible and inspiring, I would really encourage you to read volume 1 to read more about his story there. And of course, you can watch his interview on awakenmagazine.com. If you search Martin Lewis, you can find it there. Molly, tell me, what is your hope for your chapter and the book as it gets out?
Yeah, so we live in Western culture, and Western culture just idolizes the mind, idolizes um, this intelligence that's associated with the mind. And my hope is to help spread the word that the intelligence of our being is in our mind, body, and spirit, right? And, so many people out there just trying to fix themselves. And, when you're trying so hard, you're usually coming from a place up here. And truly, what I found is that it's through the body's wisdom that the mind gets set free, and enabling people to connect with their whole self and feel their bodies and feel themselves and get to know themselves. There is a path, even if you've tried over and over with different mental health care professionals and medicines or what have you, there are other paths, and there's so much hope. There's so much hope. So don't give up. And I'm hoping for an open-mindedness for people to explore the other paths.
Yes. And if you want to learn more about Molly and her work, mollyburkett.com. And as I mentioned earlier, she's a presenting sponsor with Awaken Lifestyle Expo on Sunday, December 7th in Costa Mesa, California. She'll be doing a somatic reparenting experience there as part of our expo. So, Kristen, tell me, what is your hope for your chapter in the book?
Yes. So my hope for this book is that it actually becomes a mirror for others, and that people, when they read each chapter, can actually see a piece of themselves in these stories and remember their power to heal and to awaken. And, I was really thinking about this. If even just one person says, "Now I remember who I am," I feel like the book has done its job. And my hope is that it really activates the hearts and helps people remember that awakening isn't something that we have to strive for, but it's something that we remember, and it's a continuous journey. So that's my hope for this book.
Hmm. Well, I honor each one of you and your vulnerability to share your story. It is a act of generous vulnerability, and so I really appreciate you sharing your story. They're all so beautiful, and they will impact so many people. And encourage people to get the book at awakenedheartsbook.com. You can pick it up there in the Kindle paperback and hardback version and post a review. That's an easy way for you to help us kind of spread the word about what's going on. The way Amazon works is the more reviews you have, it ends up recommending it to other people. And so the reviews are very helpful for the authors as well. So it's great to be with you guys, especially on this day, the big launch day. And we're, of course, celebrating all week with lots of great interviews. We'll be back here tomorrow. And of course, if you want to watch more interviews with other authors, you can check our Awakened Hearts. It's the playlist on our YouTube account, and you can see lots of great interviews there. So it's great to be with you guys. Oh, and by the way, I didn't mention, if you want to learn more about Kristen and her work, vibehigher.io. I want to make sure that you draw that to your attention. All right. So good to be with you guys. You guys have a great day.